Warning, the views and beliefs in the following program does not reflect the views of Boom Broadcasting. We give full creative control to our creators, and we do not believe in cancel culture. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday night. It's time for the Nightcap. Viewer discretion is advised.
Live from the MOWM studio, Boom Broadcasting presents The Nightcap. And your host of The Nightcap, mouthing off with Mike.
Welcome back to the Nightcap here on Boom Broadcasting, hosted by yours truly. I am the Mike that likes to mouth off. I am, in fact, mouthing off with Mike, and I am back here on Boom Broadcasting for another installment here of the Nightcap. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Monday Night Raw. We've got the fallout from Saturday night's main event, the build to Money in the Bank in 2 weeks, and we had some pretty solid Money in the Bank qualifying matches here. So before we go ahead and get into the show, first things first is Happy Memorial Day to everyone. And remember all of those fallen soldiers that helped defend this country for us in the past, the reason why we get this Monday off. With that aside here, we got to talk about some wrestling. It has been a wild 48 hours, maybe even, dare I say, 72 hours in the professional wrestling landscape. We had massive events with TNA Under Siege Friday night. We had Saturday night's main event on Saturday in Tampa. We had Double or Nothing for AEW, and we also had NXT Battleground. A lot of what we're going to talk about is going to be basically Saturday night's main event, the fallout from that, and where we are headed here now in 2 weeks to Los Angeles for Money in the Bank. Shout out to Logan, frequent flyer here on the Nightcap. Welcome in. Lyra Valkyria, not really for me. I don't care much about her. I'm a fan of Becky Lynch all the way. And yeah, I'm pretty sure CM Punk is going to cost Seth Rollins. Logan, I like where your head's at here tonight, brother. You're in the right spot. Before we talk about Lyra, before we talk about Seth Rollins, and before we talk about CM Punk, we got to start off with the first match on Monday Night Raw. That was the men's Money in the Bank qualifying triple threat match, which saw Penta take on Dragon Lee, take on Chad Gable. Not to be confused with El Grande Americano. I think he's on vacation right now. Maybe El Grande Americano, maybe he's having some visa issues. You never know with those kind of things. Now, opening contest of Monday Night Raw, this triple threat, super strong opening match. Penta is so lucky tonight. Let's be real. That move with Chad I don't even know what you want to call that, man. That driver, that split wing driver, whatever. He had both of them on his back. Chad grazed the cat there, man. I was real scared for Chad. He ended up coming out fine out of that move. Ended up getting busted open thanks to El Hijo del Vikingo. We'll talk about it. Dragon Lee flew from the ring to Penta off the announce table. Like in a blink and you'll miss it type of move here. We also, during this whole thing, we set up and we established the kind of build rivalry between Chad and El Hijo del Vikingo. I really liked what I'm seeing here with the build to Worlds Collide. Now, with that being said, the match was made official. Chad will take on Vikingo at Worlds Collide for the AAA Mega Championship, a championship that is currently held by former WWE wrestler Alberto Del Rio, which basically tells you, before we even get there, before this match even takes place, that Vikingo is going to be the champion coming into Worlds Collide in 2 weeks. So WWE tonight, whether on purpose, inadvertently, they spoiled the championship match for AAA for next week, I believe. Very interesting. Now, with that being said, this was really damn good. Penta is in the Money in the Bank ladder match. That ladder match for Money in the Bank, for that men's match, so far, in my opinion, is pretty stacked, man. I mean, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Penta, and of course, we know Seth Rollins now from the main event of Raw. The only miss, dare I say here, on paper is Solo. But, listen, Solo's pretty solid, and I think Solo's in a spot where he should get a chance at Money in the Bank. Why not? Solo's kind of just hanging out, taking a back seat to Jacob Fatu. You know what I mean? Doesn't surprise me that he's taking a back seat to Jacob Fatu. I really like Penta being in this ladder match because Penta's damn good in ladder match. If you ever seen a Penta ladder match, go back, check one out. So I think that's going to be really fun. You've got Penta, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Solo Sikoa. You have 2 more spots left. We know next week, this week, it is this week, Friday, SmackDown, Melo, Fatu, Andrade. And then you're probably going to have one more men's match for Raw side, and I'm hoping that involves Karrion Kross. We did see Karrion Kross today. It's a miracle, ladies and gentlemen. We actually got Karrion Kross TV time minutes tonight. That I'll take it. I will take that any day of the week. Any freaking day of the week, I will take that. Seth, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman. Let's talk about this here for a minute, folks. This is what really started Raw off. I really wanted to talk about that Money in the Bank match. I couldn't get my thoughts out on film here fast enough because of how good that match was. And obviously we just sat through 2.5 hours of Raw, but that Money in the Bank qualifying match was incredible. Bronson Reed was unveiled Saturday night as the third man of this faction. So you've got Seth, the leader, Paul Heyman, the mouthpiece, Bronson Reed, the muscle, Braun Breaker, the muscle. This is like, I don't even know what to say about this right now. All I know is it has my attention. And when you have Paul Heyman using lines like acknowledge Seth Rollins, you know what is going to happen. You know that by using that acknowledge word, you are invoking the tribal chief at some point. So the seeds are planted for Roman Reigns to come back, to get Seth Rollins, to get his get back. But for the now, for what we're getting now, Bronson Reed and Breaker with Rollins, this pairing, this trio, this could be something very, very special that WWE has. And if they don't fumble this faction could be something crazy for this next year. Chad Gable's not going to win the AAA championship, but El Grande Americano will win the AAA World Championship. Honestly, Logan, I could see it happening, brother. I could see it. Anything is possible, feasible in this WWE era that we're in right now. And if one of those is in fact Chad Gable or El Grande Americano holding a AAA title, then oh boy, sign me up. I'm in for it. Let's get it. Let's get after it. Rusev, Akira Tozawa happened. This was what I would call the epitome of a squash match. Tozawa got about 5-6 punches in total during this match. Rusev locked in the accolade, man. It was over. Tapped out. 1, 2, 3. Good night. But what was interesting about this was Sheamus comes out after to stop Rusev from beating down Akira Tozawa any further. And we get a really good face-to-face. So It is 2025. Yes, don't adjust your years. It's 2025 here. We're probably getting a Sheamus Rusev feud for the foreseeable future, or at least for the next couple weeks for the summer. And I'm honestly not mad about that. I think they're good friends in real life. We know Rusev and Sheamus are buddy. It goes back a couple years ago, maybe almost a decade plus, maybe now at this point. The League of Nations, all that stuff. You could go back, you could rehash that at any given point on Peacock. But Rusev and Sheamus, in the words of my brothers at Four Sides of the Ring, does move the needle a bit. I can't deny that. It definitely has my attention, but all I can think of is who inevitably gets a steel chair to the back from Seth. But it's going to be entertaining nonetheless. Now, ZWC, that's where I think we have everything twisted with this group. It was never going to be Seth turning on one of these guys. It was always going to be one of those guys turning on him. And that's what it's going to be when it happens. It'll be that full circle kind of thing for Seth Rollins, where Seth Rollins felt that he was bigger than the Shield, and the Authority obviously influenced that and helped him kind of get to that destination. But I think you could say a similar fate for Seth as to what happened with the Shield in this sense is going to be when Braun or Bronson or Braun, Braun and Braun here, either Braun realizes that they are bigger, badder, stronger than Seth Rollins, and that their future is a lot longer and a lot brighter than what Seth may have remaining on his timeline. So I think it's going to be the other way. I think we have to watch to see between Breakker and Reed who feels that they're bigger than this whole group. While we are on the subject of this group with Seth and Breakker and Reed, I've been kind of racking my brain for the last 2.5 hours during Raw. I've been sitting here, I've been spitballing names, I've been throwing adjectives together, I've been throwing combinations of former faction names and, what this looks like. I haven't really gotten to a good name for per se here. Now, Seth talked about, they're going to dominate and they're going to show that they are the most powerful and that they have the power. And I was like, that's a pretty solid name. The Power or Power, for the three of them. It's simple, but the more I've kind of sat on it and dwelled on it for these last couple hours, I'm like, you know what? It works. I don't think we're going to go with something like anything that has domination in it. I feel like that's kind of played out. Nation of Domination. We can't do anything. I don't think you could maybe go with Pain or something, because they're going to bring Pain, but it's got to be something that ties into Seth and this character that he has, the visionary. They could be the Visionaries, but that also sounds like a 19 fucking 50s, 60s doo-wop band, the Visionaries, and they're gonna perform their hit song, Run Around Lucy or something. The Visionaries just sounds like a really bad band. I don't know. This is tough. If you guys have any name ideas for this faction, if you throw some name ideas my way, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about and what you're calling them right now. Because I just call them Seth Rollins and the boys at this point. It's just Seth and the boys. And the Walrus, Paul Heyman. CM Punk's words, not mine. Or the Penguin. CM Punk called him the Penguin a few weeks ago. If you have a name for this group, and it's not Seth and the boys, Seth and the Funky Bunch, the Visionaries, or whatever other harebrained idea I've had, drop them to me here in the comments of the stream or shoot them to me on social media at MOWM_podcast. I'd love to see what you guys have for the names here, or give me a wrong name. Go with, run it, take it down, take it up the flagpole, run it. I have no problems with that. The World Tag Team Championships were defended in a triple threat match, and you would have never have guessed it if you went back and watched this Raw. How this is crazy because we just talked about this Friday night. How does one tag division in WWE feel like the most important division for a title, for titles in the company, that being the WWE Tag Team Championships on Raw, or excuse me, on SmackDown. The World Tag Team Championships here on Raw, they don't feel that way. There was such a huge potential for this New Day character shift, and it has fallen, in my opinion, completely flat on its ass. And that's not the New Day's fault. That's WWE's fault. That's the game's fault. Because the game told Penta, Dragon, and Chad, go out there and wrestle like you've never wrestled before on the opening match of Raw. And they did just that. These three teams, I love the War Raiders. I love the Creed Brothers, American Made. And I love the New Day. I love all three of these teams. These are three great tag teams to have on your tag team division. But this match, man, like, it was an afterthought. And they popped it right in that first hour of Raw. Like, I didn't think this was going to main event over Seth, Finn, and Sammy. But I mean, card placement wise, this was tough for them. They were coming off the heels of a really breathtaking opening match, a kind of a get your bearings together squash match with Rusev and Tozawa, and then you go right into this triple threat tag team title match. I feel like the fans in Tampa, like, they were loud all night, but I feel like that shift just kind of like took them by surprise, or this match for them, they weren't interested in it because, like, there was some really good tag team wrestling in it, but then the New Day and the Creed brothers end up making like a team in the middle of this match to fight off the War Raiders. Clearly the New Day are threatened by them, but they're not threatened by American Made because they made them look like fools in this match. And I guess that's a part of it, right? I guess, they made the young, up and comers look like fools, and they took advantage of their naive tendency here in the ring tonight. Nevertheless, I would have liked to see a little bit more. I don't know what the plans are for the New Day with this tag team division, but I hope we figure it out real soon, because there's no reason why future Hall of Fames like the New Day, they're kind of just spinning wheels right now. They're just kind of in motion, like they're just stuck in mud, and they're just trying to get out of the mud, and it gets even deeper in the mud here. So I don't know. We'll see kind of how that breaks down. Jey Uso is tired of everyone writing him off. Well, you guys know, if you haven't heard the news, Cody Rhodes is back. Rejoice. QB1 is back. The captain's back. He's had enough. He said it Saturday night. He's had enough of you two ruining wrestling. John Cena, Logan Paul, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, tag team match, Money in the Bank. Just 48 hours after that, Jey Uso's got a meeting with the Ring General, Gunther. Gunther makes sure he tells the Uso, look, I'm proud of you. Congratulations. 15 years on the Usos. But when it all said and done, I'm going to relieve you of your duties as champion. God damn. Okay, Gunther. All right, son. I mean, listen. I've always said that the best version of Gunther was always evil, despicable James Bond villain Gunther. That has always been my personal opinion. I have felt that Gunther, when he cuts the deepest, is at his best. Because Gunther does not care about the title. He doesn't care about the fans. He just cares that the title is around his waist. He cares about himself. And that's a huge thing. Huge character shift between both of these guys. Jey Uso cares about the fans. He cares about his supporters. Gunther does not give a shit about the people. Gunther he cares about himself. Jey will put his body on the line. He will put the people ahead of him. And that could be where his shortcomings come into play against a guy like Gunther, who doesn't care about anybody but himself, which I think is a great element of this. And I think we've always known Gunther to be that way, but I guess for some people, you have to hear it, and you have to hear him say that. That's always how I've perceived Gunther. Gunther doesn't have a set finisher because he doesn't need one. He doesn't have to have a crowd get excited for him to do one move. because Gunther can finish a match any way he wants. Gunther doesn't care about using a specific move to win as long as he wins. That's what the whole thing I feel like people miss with Gunther is it's never about the flash. Look at Gunther's moveset. Gunther's not flashing moves. Gunther's one top rope splash that he busts out occasionally. Gunther's ground and pound, beat your chest into like it is ground beef, submit you, put you to sleep, or pin you. That's it. That's all Gunther is here to do. He does not care about doing a move. He's not going to go out of his way to do this. He's not going to make sure the fans are he doesn't give a shit about any of that. And that, I think, is if people realize it, like when people are like, well, I know there was a huge conversation. No, Gunther doesn't have a finisher. Gunther can finish you with any move he wants. Just the decision is Gunther going to make you tap? Is he going to put you to sleep? Is he going to incapacitate you for the count of 10? Or is he going to pin you there 1, 2, 3 on the mat with your shoulders on the back? You know what I mean? Not to steal Jacob Fatu's, you know what I mean? But I think that's the big thing people failed to realize about Gunther and kind of how he is and who he is as a character. They say he's boring. They say he's this. Gunther doesn't care. That's the thing. He doesn't care if you find him boring in a story, in a looking at this with the lenses on, right? He doesn't care if you think he's boring. He doesn't care if you think he doesn't do the flashy moves. All he cares about is the results at the end of the match. Let that sink in, folks. It's knocking at your door. I just changed your whole perception of Gunther in 5 minutes flat. That's what we're here to do, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I do. That is what I do. I change perceptions. We got Kairi Sane versus Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, welcome back to Monday Night Raw. Have we missed you here on the Nightcap? Great Kairi Sane win tonight. Next in line for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Logan James, I hope that is the truth. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. But a massive win for Kairi Sane. But I got to talk about it while we're here. We're talking all things Liv Morgan. Look at that shit-eating grin by Mr. Finn Balor. Finn Balor, my man. You want to talk about carrying cross-pulling puppets and the strings and making people do his will and yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about Finn Balor here real quick, folks. Finn Balor has got these people crossed up. He got Roxanne Perez in the Judgment Day Dojo or the clubhouse. Judgment Day Dojo just sounds so much better. It just flows off the tongue, that alliteration. The Judgment Day clubhouse. Roxanne last week brought over a box of chicken nuggets. Now, these weren't your fast food nuggies. These weren't, these were, in the words of my co-host last week, Nitram. Make him say, oh, damn. Those were some air-fried, frozen chicken nuggets. And here she is again this week trying to feed Dom chicken nuggets. Carlito even told that man, Dom, listen, Dom, you got to stop trying to eat her nuggies. Hey, yo, Carlito, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I digress. Roxanne, she gets shushed. She gets kicked out of the clubhouse. Liv does not want any part of this. She doesn't want any part of this. She said, get out of here. Dom, obviously Dom, he's stressing here. Carlito, look at Carlito's eyes. Carlito said, oh boy. Dom, you're playing a dangerous game, man. You're playing a dangerous game. You played this dangerous game with Rhea. Playing this dangerous game with Liv now. My man, you got to love it. Balor loves the drama. Balor does love the drama. Balor absolutely loves the drama. Look at that man. That man is smiling. He's so happy. His abs are happy. They're smiling with him. My man is just lapping it up. He's like, ha, ha, ha. Dom, I'll show you. You think you're going to be the Intercontinental Champion? You're going to win that title in a match that I was in? You're going to think you're Jefe over here? You think you got the cojones now? I'm Finn Balor. I'm the prince. I'm going to show you a thing or two. Man is making things happen in the Judgment Day. We'll see if the Judgment Day can survive the workings of Finn Balor from the puppeteering that he's doing here. Kairi Sane. Let's talk about Kairi Sane here for a minute. She hasn't won a match in a singles competition since 2023. This was her first win tonight. Let's talk about Kairi Sane here. Underrated. Underused. underutilized. Damn good at what she can do. There's a couple spots here in this match, there's some slip ups. We're not gonna get into it. People talk too much about the botches these days. Just talk about the graps. Mind you, what things happen. You mess up. Sometimes I talk over myself. I double talk on here. I say words in the past tense or in the pre-tense or the post tense, and they don't make sense. I just be yapping. What are you going to do? You're going to call me out for my botches? Please stop calling these wrestlers out. Stop harping on this shit. I see it all across social media. That's my fault for being on social media. 1, 2, give it a rest here, please. My goodness. Kairi Sane. Last week, Nitram was on this show. You know, the man that makes him say, oh, damn. Part of 4 Sides of the Ring. He said it last week, and I'm going to have to quote him here, bro. He legitimately said that he thought Kairi was going to win last week against Rhea and Zoe, but the Zoe injury, they called the audible. I think he was right. Nitram, you were right. Well, there he is. He's got a new season out here. Just dropped today at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on audio platforms, Spotify, Acast, a couple others out there, but you can check them out. Booking Like a Mark. Random question for you, Mike. In your opinion, what is the ideal lineup for a Money in the Bank ladder match? Should it be main eventers like Seth Rollins and Rhea Ripley, mid-carders, or a mix? Mark, this is a great question, man. I feel like you should have saved this for your show and your new season here that just came out today, which I actually was listening to. Great stuff, man. I loved you quizzing Rick and Alexis on the 2024 calendar year for you guys. That was so freaking funny. I was cracking up, man. I think in an ideal for Mike, for me, this might be different for Mark, this might be different for Logan, this might be different for anybody else watching. My ideal scenario is you need to have one anchor. One anchor. Okay. In this case, let's look at it from this year's, with Seth and Rhea as the examples. We need one anchor in the Money in the Bank ladder match, a main eventer, a top main eventer. Then I feel like you can then, in this sense, kind of spread it out. Mid-carders, some others, but you have to have at least one anchor being big name in a ladder match, in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Seth Rollins for this year's men's, Rhea for this year's women's. Then at that point, then you start to fill in around and you start to say, okay, so who's in a position behind Rhea on the women's side that is either a mid-carder, an upper mid-carder, or is on the cusp of being a main eventer? I think they kind of recognized this last year with Tiffany. They realized Tiffany was on the cusp of something, but she just needed that kind of push in the right direction. We saw where that push led her. She's the current champion. In this sense, this year, we kind of have Rhea as the main anchor. Then you have Alexa, Roxanne, Julia, and we still have 2 women's spots to be figured out. As of now, I would say the anchor in that match is Rhea. Let's just, if we want to put it in sports terms, your backup running back here. If Rhea is your starting running back, she's your Saquon Barkley, and you got your Boston Scott or, your backup running back. I think that's Alexa Bliss, and I think then you can, for Roxanne and Julia in that sense, you can make the conversation or the argument, okay, both of those women are on the cusp of something. An opportunity in a match like this could do great things for both of them. I think Roxanne is a little bit above Julia in that sense. So I think for my looking at this, you want to have that mix, but you want to have anchors. You want to have core anchors in this. The biggest names you can possibly have put in a match for Money in the Bank. So one, it feels important, like a former world champion needs to redeem themselves to get back to the title that she's fumbled for the last few months because she's been in a love triangle with a guy who loves chicken nuggets and a psycho blonde girl, Rhea Ripley. In the sense of the men's, you've got a guy like Seth Rollins now and a guy like LA Knight and Solo and Penta. Seth Rollins is your main eventer. He's your perennial guy. He's your flagship. But then you have guys who are on the cusp of great things, like an LA Knight who has that kind of put the wind in his sails and he'll take you there. Solo Sikoa, who has kind of been teetering, as you heard me say earlier, if you were there, who's kind of just been there in the shadow of Jacob. This could be an opportunity for him to maybe kind of get out of that and show he's not just a one-trick bloodline pony. And then, of course, Penta, who is the newest star on the block, been here for five months now, right? January. We're in May. 4 months, whatever. And then, that's a guy who's kind of like right there on the cusp of something big in the mid-card, that could be a main eventer on the lower tier shelf of it. So I think for me, it's an anchor, and it's a mix of kind of those stars. You want to at least have one big star in each match, followed by kind of like your B star. And then you want to then spread out and give some people an opportunity to showcase who they are. In this case, for the women's this year, those are going to be Julia and Roxanne, where Rhea is your rock star, Alexa is your star, right? So long-winded answer, but a great question, Mark. Man, guys, make sure you go check out Booking Like a Mark. New season is out now. Everywhere you can catch audio podcast. It's a great listen. Go back, check out Mark's season 1 stuff. If you haven't caught up with his stuff, man, he has some incredible stuff. He does rebookings. It's Booking Like a Mark, baby. You got to go check it out. Words can't do it justice. The guy's incredible. Put him over. Not because he's watching the show here and always showing love to Mouthing Off with Mike and Boom Broadcasting, because honestly, he's underrated. You guys are sleeping on Mark. Go check him out tonight, tomorrow on your drive back to work, because I know we're all off for the most part. So tonight, tomorrow on your drive to work, Booking Like a Mark, new season. Go watch it. There's your recommendation for Mouthing Off with Mike this week. I like Kairi Sane and Liv Morgan. I like Kairi Sane getting the win. I think that's what it's all about. Ahoy, mateys. Arg, you just got pirated by the pirate princess. Give you the gold doubloons. I'm moving on here. Lyra Becky has been made official for Money in the Bank, and I should have just waited to tweet my thoughts until this was off, until they finished talking, because I tweeted, premature tweet, blasted it out. I said, we need a stipulation. We need a little stipulation. This match, Lyra Becky, we need a little stipulation action. Just a little stip. Just a little bit. Not a big stipulation. A little stipulation. I got a micro stipulation. That's a tough scene to say, to the least. They pulled down the curtains. I got a micro stipulation. Not even like a little stipulation or a big stipulation. I got a micro stipulation tonight. The gauntlet has been set. If Becky loses to Lyra at Money in the Bank June 7th, Becky will no longer challenge for the Intercontinental Championship so long as Lyra is the champion. Cop out. Now, like the Cody Rhodes stipulation back in AEW where Cody Rhodes lost that match, he can never challenge for the AEW World Championship. You know what I'm saying? Becky a little bit smarter here. As long as Lyra is the champ, Becky cannot challenge her for that title anymore in the future. On the flip side, if Becky wins against Lyra at Money in the Bank, Lyra has to raise Becky's arm in victory and shake her hand and show her respect. Like I said, folks, it's a stipulation, just not the one I would have liked. I would have listen, it's Money in the Bank. We've got ladders. They're just hanging around. What are they doing when the 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches are not taking place? They're just chilling under the ring. They're chilling by the entrance ramp. Hear me out. The 3 R's. You know the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle. We could have had a Women's Intercontinental Championship ladder match between these two. Why not? Okay, big deal. You have 2 other ladder matches. They're for the Money in the Bank briefcase. This is a singles ladder match for a title. You could have made that happen. All right, fine. Triple H, you don't want to book a ladder match for this. I get it. You got 2 other ladder matches. Too much water. You could drown. I hear you. What about a Falls Count Anywhere match? We've seen these 2 brawl all across the ring. We've seen them interrupt each other's matches. We've heard the promos tonight. We're invoking husbands and fiancés. Becky said, wow, when I was with my hot husband, and your ugly fiance. Wow, that's got to sting a little bit for poor Lyra. He's a handsome fella, her man. There's ain't nothing wrong with him. He's a good wrestler too. Lyra cooked her though. So yeah, that's the only thing that makes you talent. That's the only thing that gives you talent is your husband. I was like, damn, Lyra. Cook her up. Cook her ass. Give me a Falls Count Anywhere match here. Give me a submission match. When's the last time we had a good submission match for the women? How about a submission match? Becky's got a submission. Lyra's got a submission. How about we do a submission match? How about we do Falls Count Anywhere? How about we do Last Woman Standing? This feud could go for a Last Woman Standing match. Why not? There's stipulations. Dare I say we could have went with the simplest of all stipulations. No holds barred. And let these two brawl. Get some chairs. Get some kendo sticks. Get some garbage cans. Use the wings. Fly from the top of the arena and hit her with a missile drop kick. I don't know what the wings do for the Bird Lady, but hear me out. A little bit bigger of a stipulation on this match, and I think we got ourselves something special. Lyra and Becky, they always perform. They always deliver, so I have no complaints about them going back to the well here on this and doing a rematch. No issues. We're in LA. I feel Bayley comes into play here. We'll talk about it another day. We'll talk about some predictions for Money in the Bank in the next couple weeks. We made it to the main event, folks. A little bit of a expedited nightcap here. When it's just me, I can just talk, and it's just I just do it. But I like having someone with me because it's lonely here. It gets lonely on the nightcap. Someone start playing the world's smallest violin for me. Yeah, all right. Anyway, moving on. Main event, men's Money in the Bank qualifying match. Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor. All three of these guys, I would have wanted in Money in the Bank. If we don't have Penta, and I'm pretty sure Penta right now Penta and Seth are the only two Raw guys in it. So personally, I would have liked to have, if we were going to do 3 Raw, right? Obviously, it's 6 men, so 3 from Raw, 3 from SmackDown. The 3 from Raw, I would have liked these 3 right here. We could make an argument. You can take out Finn for Karrion Kross. They're interchangeable at this point for me in this Money in the Bank match. But these 3, I think, would have been really freaking good in Money in the Bank. I like Penta. I think Penta's going to thrive in that ladder match. He's going to show people how he does ladder matches, and let's just hope he doesn't try to do that movie did the Chad Gable today, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Everything will be awesome. Everything will be great. Seth Rollins wins. Sami Zayn had this. What a beautiful sequence. We saw Finn Balor hit the coup de grace. We saw Seth hit the stomp, and then we saw Sami hit the haluva kick on Seth. He goes to pin Seth. Braun Breaker pulls him out. This is when everything breaks down. Here comes Jey Uso to even the odds. And then, of course, here is CM Punk to end Monday Night Raw, who Paul at the beginning of the show said, dude, you don't know, CM Punk's not here. Well, you know what, Paul? Should have checked your phone, should have checked your Rolodex. Should have checked the tracking app that you installed in CM Punk's skin back in the ECW days. Because he was there. Surprise! We're in Tampa. Why wouldn't he be in Tampa? I don't know. He just had a match Saturday night. Why you think he's just going to leave the weekend? He had NXT all weekend. He's probably down there in NXT talking with the guys and gals, giving them some pep talks before Battleground Sunday. He's obviously going to be in some capacity at this Raw. Come on now. Come on, Paul. Paul, I thought you were better than that. CM Punk comes out, hits a GTS on Seth Rollins. Crowd goes home happy. Got a CM Punk sighting one more time to finish the weekend. We know that Seth is now in Money in the Bank. And earlier in the show, Logan James said, I'm pretty sure CM Punk is going to cost Seth Rollins. Logan, you are correct. Someone will cost Seth Rollins that Money in the Bank ladder match. It won't be CM Punk. It'll be the Tribal Chief. That's who. The Tribal Chief will come back at Money in the Bank, cost Seth Rollins that match. And as I'm saying this, wouldn't it be even crazy if Roman grab the briefcase too while he's at it. I just pause for dramatic effect because as you're sitting there, you're like, well, that's not possible because he's not in the match. Brock Lesnar. Just saying. Roman Reigns cost Seth Rollins the briefcase. What's stopping Roman Reigns from grabbing the briefcase? Nothing. That's something we need to keep an eye on. Why do qualifiers always have to be triple threats? Where are the tag matches, the fatal four ways, and even handicap matches? I think for Triple H's booking logic is triple threats, easy booking, gives me a chance to showcase one extra talent that is like on the cusp of being in that conversation. I don't know. Honestly, Mark, I would like to see, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more variety on the qualifying matches. We know, but this is what Triple H's go-to has been. Queen of the Ring, King of the Ring, they're triple threats. It's his go-to. He did it last year too, I'm pretty sure. It's his go-to. He loves triple threats. Triple H loves triple threats. And I think that's what it is. I'm going to be honest with you, Mark. There's no other reason I have to tell you except that his name's Triple H and he just likes booking triple threats. I think he just does it for the shits and giggles at this point. That is the only logical explanation I have for you right now, Mark, is that it's Triple H just making himself chuckle in Gorilla. At least do Triple H triple threats on one brand and have the other show be creative. Yeah. I mean, I think you could have ran a fatal four-way. You could have ran fatal four-ways on SmackDown because you could argue that because you have an extra 30 minutes of SmackDown technically, because they're 3 hours and Raw's 2.5 or 235 or 240. Raw's whatever they want it to be, whenever they feel like it. So there's no set time crunch on Raw. But I think you could have made the argument here that why couldn't the SmackDown matches be fatal four ways? Why couldn't you slot in one additional person? Like for the example, this Friday's match, Jacob Fatu, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes. Why can't you make it a fatal four way and throw in a Miz? Throw in a Dexter Loomis. Throw in one of the Wyatt Six. Fuck it. Why not? We're here. They're back. Why not? And clearly the Wyatt Six have some sort of plans in place to get gold at some point. Make it a fatal four way. Throw somebody on. If tonight's main event was a fatal four way, Cross could have made the card. Cross could have made the card. That's a valid point. And you know what's crazy about that is Karrion Kross did in fact have some TV time with Sami Zayn tonight before this main event. And we saw Kross with Scarlett. Now I could be reading into this, but what is Scarlett standing on there? Ladder. Something to keep an eye on here. I thought maybe you could make the argument, okay, Money in the Bank qualifying match, they're slick, they'll put a ladder there. But could that be a little bit of a foreshadow? Maybe next week Kross is in one of those Money in the Bank qualifying matches because we have one more Raw superstar to come. We have Seth, we have Penta. We need one more. We have Solo, we have LA Knight. We're getting either Mello, Jacob, or Andrade Friday. So that'll clear up the SmackDown side. And then there's just some clarity. What do they do for the last spots for the Raw and the SmackDown women's side? For the Raw men's and the SmackDown women's side? Could you run a fatal four-way last chance? Could you run a gauntlet match with all of the competitors that were in the qualifying matches that lost? And then you sprinkle in one or two extras that didn't get a chance at the match as kind of a wild card. Maybe next week on Raw, Mark, we could get crazy here and maybe they'll do the Dragon Lee, Chad Gable, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Karrion Kross, 6 superstar gauntlet match. Last spot in Money in the Bank men's for the Raw side. That's right up our alley. We love a good gauntlet match. At least I do. That'd be fun. That'd be a way to spice things up a little bit so they're not just like, it's a triple threat. Final question. Oh, Mark's got questions tonight. I like it. Money in the Bank ever becomes a 2-night event, could we see an NXT ladder match each night with the winners going to the main roster with title shots? So that would basically just kind of change the breakout tournament that NXT does. So instead of NXT having the men's and women's breakout tournaments with like the new and up and comers that they'll hand select, whoever wins gets a title opportunity of their choosing. We saw in the past kind of function like Money in the Bank. If I feel like Money in the Bank's the one. Mark, I hate this question because it's like this is a double-edged sword because I feel like Money in the Bank's the one premium live event that can't be 2 nights, but then I'm thinking about it and they could leech it for everything it's got and suck it dry, and they could do it 2 nights because you could then do, and hear me out, night 1 Money in the Bank is the Raw. It's like how it used to be. I don't think it would be NXT involved. I think it would be how it used to be, where we had 2 separate ladder matches, one for Raw, one for SmackDown's titles. So you had two functioning briefcases, and then it'd be the same thing for the women, and you have 2 functioning briefcases for the women's. I think the breakout tournament accomplishes that goal, and they don't have to do a ladder match for it, and they can run it on NXT TV and draw viewership. I don't think NXT needs a quote unquote ladder match for it. The breakout tournaments handle that. But I could see if it does go to 2 nights in the future, which seems like everything's going to go 2 nights. What about a Survivor Series 2 nights is going to suck if it ever gets to that point. What are you going to have? All Raw matches on night 1, all SmackDown matches on night 2, or all cross-branded matches on night 1, and then you're going to do NXT and TNA on night 2 for Survivor. Like, Survivor Series 2 nights confuses me, much like a Money in the Bank does as well, but they would just run it how they used to run it. You could probably make the argument you'd have 4 briefcases in place, would be, talk about drowning, talk about watered down. Oh my God. That's like legit putting, you know what I mean? Like that's like putting, I can't even think of an analogy here. I can't even give you a metaphor or simile. I can't even give you anything on that. That's just straight drowning the product in it. That's just watered down. That's probably what would end up happening. I don't think NXT would get the shout here. Cross, interesting though. Sammy said he'll take care of him later on. So I think Cross might have a match next week on WWE on Raw. We'll see. This happened a few weeks ago. I talked about how I'd love to see Penta and AJ Styles in a tag team match. We got that last week. Let's see if my prediction comes true. Let's see. Has WWE tweeted anything that would give us any indication that we could possibly see? No, we're nothing yet on Karrion Kross, but we'll see. With the TNA crossover, don't be surprised if NXT joins the Feast or Fired match at some point. That's a great shout out, ZWC. Trick Williams is the new NXT champion. I haven't even had a chance to talk about it. I haven't even had a chance to see it. I've watched half of Battleground, so I haven't even had a chance to see that match. I heard it. I'm at Double or Nothing last night. It is the play. I'm singing bodies. Bodies are dropping. They're hitting the floor. There's bodies going from the top of forklifts. There's bodies in the rafters. There's bodies over there. I'm singing bodies. It was an insane event. Double or Nothing this year was a top event I've ever been to live. TNA and NXT in a Feast or Fired match. That is something. That is something. Trick is the TNA champion. Mike Santana is going to be on NXT tomorrow night. NXT for me is like can't miss tomorrow. Like I will be watching NXT in some capacity, whether it's on my phone, coming home from work, I will be watching it because I want to see Santana versus Tavion Heights. I want to see Mike Santana's NXT debut. I think Santana is a dude that would thrive. Like he's a great wrestler, and Santana, my God, he's a special wrestler. But I think he would thrive if they just let him be himself. Man, oh man, I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see him versus Trick for that that TNA championship, coming down the pipeline. We have Money in the Bank in 2 weeks. So far, the fields are set. We don't have total picture. We don't have a total picture. We've got Julia, Roxanne, Alexa, Rhea. We're missing 2 spots. We know that the final SmackDown women's competitor will either be Jade Cargill, Naomi, or Nia Jax. We don't know who the final 3 women on the Raw side. We don't know who that final woman for Raw will be yet. Same thing with the men. We know Seth is in with Penta, Solo, and LA Knight. We know Friday, Mello, Jacob, or Andrade will be in for the SmackDown, and that will complete the SmackDown side of the ladder match. We don't know who the final Raw man is going to be in that match. See, I botched right there. I said men instead of man. Wrestlers do it all the time. So we'll find out. I think it's going to be Karrion Kross. I'm fingers crossed for Karrion Kross. But let's finish the show. I'm kind of trying to bring it back here and there. A lot of rambling today. Just a good old mouthing off with Mike Sesh here on Boom Broadcasting for the Nightcap. But I alluded to it very early on in the afternoon about addressing the elephant. Not the actual elephant. There is no elephant in my house right now. But I want to address the elephant in the room. The elephant that I want to address is wrestling fans not knowing when to just shut up and enjoy wrestling. I have seen no less than hundreds of comments across social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, name it. I've seen it. I've read it. They're all the same. Wham, this show was better than this show. Wham, this show was better than this show. Wham, NXT did this, and AEW did this, and they outsold this, and they outsold this, and they did this, and this was better than this, and this. Shut the fuck up. Please. Shut up. Are you a wrestling fan? I'm genuinely asking questions. If you're not a wrestling fan, then you'll continue those conversations. Have your way with those conversations, please. Continue those conversations. But my God, the complaining. We had one of the best weekends you could ever imagine in professional wrestling. If this was 10 years ago, we'd be begging for this. We'd be begging for this. We'd be begging for 3-4 different wrestling shows all in one weekend. You could watch whatever you wanted. You could watch a match from WWE, a match from NXT, and a match from AEW. If that's all you wanted to watch, you could watch it. You could watch a TNA match. You could watch a New Japan match. There was so much wrestling on this weekend. But yet people want to complain, and I just don't understand why. Like, if you don't like AEW, fine. You don't like AEW. You don't like WWE, fine. You don't like WWE. You don't like TNA, fine. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. But man, oh man, just enjoy the wrestling, guys. Come on. Like, silly. It's silly that I have to still doing this, man. Still having to tell you guys, just go out there and enjoy the wrestling. Yeah, was Double or Nothing a fantastic show? You're damn right it was. It was for me personally, live there, seeing everything transpire the way it did. I'll put it right up there with a WrestleMania. Yeah, I said it. You heard it. I've been to a few WrestleManias. I've been to 38, 39, 40, and 41. I've been to those WrestleManias. I've seen the highs and the lows of all of those WrestleManias. That Double or Nothing is right there with those WrestleManias. That Double or Nothing was special. That was an incredible event. Whether you like it or you don't, you hate AEW, you want it to fail, you shouldn't want it to fail. Because without AEW, you don't get an incredible triple threat match to start Raw. You don't get a good one to finish Raw. You don't get the WWE as you have it now without AEW. Without that competition ironing the sword, you don't get this. You don't get Trick Williams as the TNA champion. You don't get a worlds collide with WWE and AAA. You don't see cross-promotion championship matches and cross-promotion matches between 3 different companies in WWE. You don't see that in AEW with AEW and New Japan and CMLL and Ring of Honor. You don't get that. Wrestling is so good right now. Wrestling is thriving. I feel like I say this every year. Once a year, I say it. This is your once for 2025. You can come back to Memorial Day Nightcap, May 26, 2025, and I'm going to give you your just enjoy the wrestling because, my God, there was a time where wrestling sucked. There was only 1 you could watch, 2 if you were lucky, 3 if you paid and you had VPNs and you stayed up all hours of the night to watch it, or you get the lucky uploads to YouTube from somebody who's probably going to get a DMC strike by New Japan back in 2013, 14. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know this. If you've been watching, if you're a fan, you know it. I just wanted to, I had to address that elephant, man, because I just thought it was silly, man. Double or Nothing had some incredible stuff. Battleground had some good stuff. Saturday night's main event was entertaining for what it was for face value. It was never going to be a premium live event for WWE. It was a glorified TV house show. So NBC could make some money. WWE got some kickbacks on that. Tampa was happy. That's all that matters. The fans went home happy. They saw a great show. They had fun. They entertained. They were loud. Same thing with Battleground. Same thing with Double or Nothing. Same thing with Under Siege. Just enjoy the wrestling. Now, on the other hand, these prices, though, for these wrestling events, they're getting out of hand. We'll talk about that another day on Mouthing Off with Mike, because there is no way a Monday Night Raw episode should cost almost as much as I paid for WrestleMania Night 2 tickets. That right there, that's insane. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard me talk about it. Double or Nothing. I was there, so I'm going to review it. We're going to go ahead and do a review. Double or Nothing review with, of course, yours truly, Mouthing Off with Mike. It will be on my YouTube at Mouthing Off with Mike Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. So go subscribe. I already got some clips out there on social media from Kenny Omega telling that DJ, play that shit, to some highlights from Hangman and Will Ospreay. And I got some other stuff, fun stuff planned for this review episode. So go check it out. Go subscribe to Mouthing Off with Mike on YouTube. Go follow me at MOWM_podcast. Subscribe to Boom Broadcasting. We're almost to 550 subscribers here. So go show some love to the Boom Boys. Go check out Booking Like a Mark, new season out right now. The man who loves the questions tonight. I might have to call him the Riddler, because riddle me this. Mark had me riddled with some of these questions. So go check out Booking Like a Mark. Go subscribe to Boom Broadcasting. And it's always just go out there and enjoy professional wrestling. Bye, guys. I'll see you here Friday for SmackDown and